You know, it feels like lately the buzz around AI has shifted a bit.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, it's less about just like simple automation and more about this idea of agentic AI.
Ah, right, the agents.
Exactly. AI that can not only understand what we want, but can actually figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's about initiative.
So for anyone wanting to, cut through the noise and really get a handle on what this emerging field is all about, well, this is the place.
Absolutely. In this deep dive, we're going to unpack what makes agentic AI, well, agentic. We'll look at how it works, the core bits and pieces.
And the exciting ways it's being used already.
For sure. And also touch on some of the bigger questions that come up when AI gets this level of autonomy.
Okay, and to do this, we've pulled together quite a mix of sources, haven't we?
We have. We've got articles from, the usual tech places, Tech Target, Forbes, IBM, also academic
Where I
papers.
saw an RTEV survey
Yeah.
and practical stuff too
Uh,
from developers.
yep. Documentation and examples from frameworks people are actually using, like CrewAI, LangChain, AutoGPT, even things like Microsoft's guides.
Plus, we dipped into online discussions, YouTube videos,
Mm-hmm.
people like Tina Huang, Krish Naik,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get a real sense of what's happening on the ground.
Exactly. The goal is to sort of synthesize all that, pull out the key insights, and give everyone a solid understanding without, hopefully, drowning in jargon.
Sounds good. So let's dive in. What is agentic AI fundamentally? What's the core idea here?
Okay, so across pretty much all the sources, the main theme is AI systems that aren't just passive responders, they actively perceive their surroundings.
Uh-huh. Like seeing or hearing, digitally speaking.
Sort of, yeah, perceiving the environment they operate in. Then, crucially, they make decisions autonomously to achieve goals.
Autonomously. That's the key word, isn't it?
It really is. And they can often improve, learn through experience, or by acquiring new knowledge. It's that ability to act without constant human nudging, handling complex stuff based on understanding the context. That's the big step.
Okay, so it's definitely a level up from standard automation, which just follows a strict set of rules.
Totally. Think about like an automatic door sensor. It senses movement, it opens, always. It doesn't care if it's a person, a dog, or a leaf blowing past. Basic reflex.
Right, no context. Agentic AI would know why it might need to open the door, or if it should.
Potentially, yes. Or at least it aims for that level of understanding. Sources also mention slightly more advanced agents, like model-based reflex agents. They maintain a kind of internal map of the world.
Okay, so they remember things.
Yeah, they remember past interactions, which helps them make better choices, even if they can't see the whole picture at that moment.
Got it. So more aware than a simple sensor, but agentic AI seems to imply even more initiative.
Absolutely. That's the core shift. It's moving from AI that mainly responds to our prompts. You ask it something, it gives an answer,
Right.
to AI that proactively plans and then executes tasks that might involve multiple steps.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, one article used the analogy of writing a blog post. Traditional AI might generate the whole text in one go if you prompt it well.
Okay.
Agentic AI might break it down more like a human would, research the topic, outline the key points, draft sections, find relevant images, maybe even optimize it for SEO. It plans and carries out the sequence.
Ah, I see. It's managing the whole workflow, not just doing one isolated part.
Exactly. It's about tackling the bigger picture.
Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts then. How do they actually do this? I saw a mention of tired alpacas mixed tea. Sounds memorable, at least. What's that about?
Haha. Yeah, that's Tina Huang's acronym. It's a neat way to remember the basic building blocks: task, answer, model, and tools.
Okay, break that down. Task and answer seems straightforward.
Right. Every agent has a specific task it's trying to accomplish, and it's aiming for a certain answer or outcome. Pretty clear.
And the model, that's the brain, the LLM usually.
Precisely. The underlying AI model, often a large language model, gives the agent its knowledge base, its reasoning ability, its understanding of language. That's the engine.
Though didn't some sources say it's not always a massive model?
Good point. Yes, for some tasks, especially specialized ones, smaller, maybe fine-tuned or distilled models can be very effective and probably more efficient too.
Right, makes sense. Don't need a sledgehammer for every nut.
Hmm.
So that leaves tools. This sounds crucial for interacting beyond just thinking.
It absolutely is. Tools are how the agent connects to the outside world or uses specific capabilities it doesn't inherently possess. Think of it as giving the AI hands and senses.
Like what kind of tools?
Oh, all sorts. Accessing APIs is a big one, checking flight status, getting currency exchange rates, weather forecasts.
Real-time data.
Exactly. Or querying databases for, say, customer information, using search engines like Google or specialized ones like Skyscanner, even running code using a code interpreter.
So if I asked an agent to plan that trip we talked about earlier, it would use tools to check flight prices, maybe look at hotel availability via APIs.
Precisely. And maybe use a search tool to find reviews of destinations or activities.
And how does it make sure the information it finds is actually useful and relevant? It's not just grabbing random stuff from the web.
That's where retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, often comes in. We saw that mentioned quite a bit.
RAG, right. I've heard that term.
It basically allows the agent to pull in specific, relevant information from external knowledge sources. Could be documents, databases, websites, and weave that into its response or plan right when it needs it.
So it's not just stuck with the knowledge it was trained on months or years ago. It can access current info.
Exactly. Makes its output much more timely and contextually accurate.
Okay, so it has a brain, the model. It has hands, the tools. It can get up-to-date info, RAG. What about memory? Does it remember things from one interaction to the next?
Memory is super important. The sources talk about it almost like human memory. There's short-term memory, which is kind of like the LLM's context window, what it's actively thinking about right now.
The stuff it can immediately recall.
Right. But then there's long-term memory. This usually involves storing information outside the model itself, maybe in vector databases. We saw those mentioned in some project doc.
Vector databases for storing experiences.
Yeah, storing past interactions, learned preferences, successful strategies. This allows the agent to be more consistent over time, learn from what worked or didn't work, and personalize its behavior. It doesn't have amnesia every time you talk to it.
Okay, that's crucial for building anything complex, so it can actually build on past work.
Definitely. And the whole process is often iterative. An agent might generate a plan, get some feedback maybe from another agent, maybe even from itself.
Self-critique. The AI judges its own work.
Yeah, some architectures support that. The agent evaluates its own output against the goal and refines it. It's a loop of action, feedback, and improvement.
Wow, okay. This is painting a much clearer picture.
Yeah.
So with all this capability, where are we actually seeing agentic AI being put to work? What are the real-world examples?
They're starting to pop up all over, actually. Customer service is one area.
How so? Like better chatbots.
More than that, one source, Tech Target, I think, mentioned a utility company using agentic AI. Instead of waiting for complaints, the AI could proactively spot customers with unusually high bills, then reach out first, maybe with an explanation like, hey, there's a heat wave, your AC usage went up, and offer solutions like a payment plan or energy-saving tips.
That's actually really helpful. Proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly. Much better experience. Another big area is scientific discovery.
Like drug discovery or new materials. AI has been involved there for a while, hasn't it?
It has, mostly for analyzing data. But agentic AI can take a more active role. It can intelligently explore possibilities, suggest novel combinations of chemicals or materials, even help design the experiments to test them.
So it's moving from just analysis to suggesting what to do next, like a research assistant.
The very smart, tireless research assistant, yeah. It operates at a higher level, potentially speeding things up dramatically.
Interesting. What about software development? I feel like I hear a lot about AI in coding.
Definitely. We're seeing tools like Cursor, which is an AI-powered code editor. Its agents can do things like automatically implement caching, make changes across multiple files consistently, run terminal commands, stuff that takes developers time.
Automating the grunt work.
And more. Platforms like Replit are going even further. Their Replit agent aims to let people build and deploy entire applications largely through conversation with the AI.
Build an app just by talking to an AI.
That's the vision. There was an example of building a CRM by telling the agent to use Nyla's APIs for email and calendar integration.
Wow. So this vibe coding thing I heard about, is that related?
Yeah, that term popped up. It captures this idea of collaborating really closely with the AI, guiding it with your intent, the vibe, rather than writing every single line of code yourself.
Okay, so customer service, science, coding, anywhere else.
Well,
business processes.
For sure. The sources point to complex, multi-step tasks in things like cybersecurity agents potentially detecting and responding to threats automatically.
Real-time defense.
Right. And supply chain management, optimizing logistics, making decisions based on rapidly changing conditions, even helping run experiments in labs, handling literature reviews, planning steps, maybe even executing code for simulations. There was a mention of ChemCrow for chemistry research specifically.
It sounds like these agents are tackling increasingly complex jobs. Do they always work alone? You mentioned teams earlier.
Ah, yes, multi-agent systems. That's a really fascinating area. The idea is that instead of one super agent trying to do everything, you create a team, or a crew, as CrewAI calls it.
A crew of AIs.
Exactly. Each agent in the crew has a specific role, maybe some expertise, and they collaborate to achieve a bigger goal that might be too complex for any single agent.
Like a human project team, but with AI agents. How does that work? How are they organized?
There are different patterns. Sometimes it's sequential, like an assembly line. Agent A does its part, passes the result to Agent B, who does the next step, and so on. Good for document processing, maybe.
Okay, pipeline style.
Then there's hierarchical. You might have a manager agent that breaks down a big task, like writing a detailed business report, and assigns subtasks to specialized agents. One for research, one for drafting, one for data analysis, one for editing.
A manager overseeing worker agents.
Pretty much. And you can have hybrid structures too, combining both approaches. Think about something really complex like an autonomous vehicle. You'd need agents for perception, planning, control, communication, all working together in sophisticated ways.
It really is like building a virtual workforce.
Yeah.
And there are specific tools out there to actually build and manage these AI crews.
Yes, absolutely. That's where frameworks come in. CrewAI is a popular one right now, specifically for orchestrating these role-playing agents.
Hmm.
It helps you define their roles, goals, how they communicate. They even have a visual builder now, apparently, for a no-code approach.
Interesting. What other frameworks did we come across?
LangChain and its extension LangGraph are very widely used for building all sorts of AI applications, including stateful ones with complex workflows and multi-agent setups. Microsoft has AutoGen, which focuses on making it easier to create these complex conversations between multiple agents, potentially using different AI models.
Right.
There's small agents, aiming for easier creation and prototyping, maybe for less resource-intensive apps. AutoGPT was one of the early, really hyped ones, fully automated, setting its own goals and tasks.
I remember AutoGPT making waves.
Yeah. Then there are others like Agentverse for simulations, AGXT for managing instructions across different AI providers, WorkGPT, which is similar to AutoGPT, GPT Engineer, and DemiGPT focusing specifically on code generation from prompts.
It's a whole ecosystem developing.
It really is. We already mentioned Cursor as an editor with agent features and Replit Agent as a no-code tool within their environment. And Microsoft also has Semantic Kernel, which seems more enterprise-focused, emphasizing tool integration and flexibility with different models.
Wow, lots of tools, lots of activity. It feels like this is moving really fast.
Yeah.
Which inevitably brings us to the challenges, the concerns. What are the big ones people are talking about?
Well, as these agents get more capable and autonomous, the potential risks and ethical questions definitely loom larger. Bias is a big one.
Bias. How so?
Agents learn from data, often vast amounts of it. If that data reflects existing societal biases around race, gender, whatever, the agents can easily pick those up and even amplify them. One source mentioned facial recognition bias as a classic example.
Right, leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
Yes.
That's a serious concern.
Huge. Then there's security and privacy. These agents might process enormous amounts of data, potentially sensitive data. How do we ensure that's handled responsibly, securely? How do we prevent misuse?
Especially if they're making decisions autonomously. What if they make a bad one?
Exactly. That leads to transparency and explainability. If an agent makes a critical decision, especially in areas like finance or healthcare, we need to understand why. How did it arrive at that conclusion?
The black box problem, but maybe even more complex with agents planning multiple steps.
Potentially, yes. Some systems are more opaque than others, and we need to make sure they're reliable.
Reliable how?
Well, one paper pointed out that the complex prompts used to guide these agents can sometimes be brittle. A small change in the instructions could, in theory, lead to wildly different or unintended behavior. That's prompt robustness.
So making sure they don't easily go off the rails.
Right. And aligning them with human values. Not just one set of values, because humans are diverse, but ensuring they act in ways that are generally beneficial and ethical. That's a huge ongoing research area.
Alignment. Yeah, that comes up a lot with AI generally. And I suppose the potential for misuse if these things become really powerful.
That's always a concern with powerful technology. Sam Altman and others have talked about the dual-use nature, great potential for good, but also risks if used maliciously.
And the elephant in the room.
Jobs. Yeah, job displacement is definitely part of the conversation. If agents can automate complex tasks, what does that mean for human workers?
Do the sources offer any perspective on that?
The general theme seems to be less about outright replacement and more about collaboration. AI as a partner, automating tedious parts of jobs, freeing up humans for more creative or strategic work, but there's certainly an adaptation required.
So a lot to think about on the ethical and practical side. Where do we go from here? What's the path forward?
Well, regulation is definitely part of the picture. Developing sensible frameworks to guide ethical development and deployment, ensuring safety and fairness.
Hmm.
That requires collaboration. Policymakers, industry, researchers, the public all need to be involved.
It can't just be the tech companies deciding everything.
No,
Hmm.
definitely not. And the field itself is just evolving incredibly rapidly. What seems cutting edge today might be standard practice very soon. Deloitte, Forbes, Y Combinator discussions, they all emphasize this rapid innovation cycle.
So continuous learning is key for anyone involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the potential is undeniable. Automating complexity, boosting productivity. One Reddit comment talked about the sheer productivity gains driving innovation in science, medicine, business. It's pretty transformative.
So wrapping this up, agentic AI feels like a really significant step. It's AI that doesn't just answer, it acts.
Exactly. Using models, tools, memory, sometimes working in teams, all to achieve goals more autonomously than ever before.
Huge potential across so many areas.
Immense potential. But, as we've discussed, it comes with important challenges: bias, security, transparency, alignment, that we absolutely need to address thoughtfully and proactively.
So maybe a final thought for our listeners. Given everything we've talked about, where do you see agentic AI having the biggest impact in your world, your work, or your life in the next few years?
Yeah, that's a great question to ponder. What processes could be streamlined? What new possibilities open up?
And maybe what steps could you take now to either prepare for those changes or maybe even start leveraging these capabilities yourself?
Definitely food for thought. Agentic AI isn't just science fiction anymore, it's actively being built and deployed.
And remember, we've put links to all the articles, frameworks, and discussions we mentioned in the show notes if you want to explore any of this further. We'd love to hear your perspectives too.